Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. John here from Incomesh.com, and in today's video we're going to continue with our page builder and theme dogfight, where we are recreating the homepage, which is currently at Incomesh.com, and we're going to try to rebuild this with a bunch of different page builders, a bunch of different themes, to determine which one gives you the best performance, the best user experience as you're building, and the best flexibility, and overall the best one for you to use in 2019 and beyond. So let's go ahead and recap what we've done so far. So we have thus far in the series tested out Astra and Brizy and Astra and Gutenberg, and you can see kind of how my overall ratings have been for that one, as well as some speed tests where I'd run 5 speed tests once the page was completed to determine which one is the best from a performance perspective. But in today's video, we're going to build using Divi. So I have recreated a brand new website with no themes, no plugins or anything installed on it. And together in this video, we're going to install the Divi theme and rebuild this page step by step from scratch and kind of give you my impressions and help you decide if Divi is the right builder for you going into the next year. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing we want to do here is install the Divi theme. So I'll go to Themes, Add New, Upload a Theme. And I've kind of stashed one away over here. So we got the Divi theme dragged in, we'll install it. All right, so theme's installed, let's activate it. I'll probably need to authenticate and update. So let's do that real quick. I'll go into my Divi options, theme options, and go to updates. And let me be right back in a second once I've added this information in. Alrighty, so I've authenticated and I'll just quickly update Divi to the latest version. All right, good to go. So now let's check out our website that we have here. It's a completely blank scratch page built in Divi, and what we're going to transform this into is this guy, where let's review what this is going to look like real quick. We're going to have kind of a hero section with an image on one side, a fun background, and some text and a call to action. We're going to have a features section, which is going to show some icons, some blurbs, and some call to actions as well. We'll have a 3-column layout here with some interesting padding going on. A blog roll, which obviously this is a blank website, so there won't be that much information on the blog roll, but you'll get the idea. And then kind of some Q&As down the bottom, and a footer that has some calls to action, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and dive in by going to our blank website and new page. Okay, so what we want to do is use the Divi builder, and this will take us to the visual builder. And let's just start building. We'll build from scratch. And here we go. So it's looking good so far. This is going to be a 2-column layout at first because we want to build this this section up here. So we have our 2-column layout. Let's go ahead and put our image on the right side. And if I look over here, I've stashed all my artifacts I'll need for this build. And this is one of the fun things about Divi. You can actually drag it directly onto the page and it'll upload and do everything it needs to do for you, which is kind of a nice time saver, but I'll still need to move this over to the right location. So let's do that. Apologies for my sounding under the weather, but the show must go on. I really wanted to get this out before the holidays. And then on this side, we have, what do we have here? Some text, some more text, and a button. So let's do that. Make this an H1. And also, the styling may not be the exact same. Like, I'm not going to try to find the exact same font. I know you could easily find the right font, so we'll just kind of skip past some of those things. But I will make the text the same. So we'll take that text, put it over there. And then let's head back into our module settings. And I like to be kind of anchored right there. So now we have the paragraph text, which is, "Hi, I'm John." Let's grab that text, put it here, and take a look at how this is coming along. Okay, so we might want to align this in the center. So we'll go to our row settings, design, alignment. Let's see if I can get this to align in the center of the, so looking through here, oh gosh, it's been a little while doing that type of an adjustment. Let's see here. Alrighty, so looking through here, still gets the relative effect that we're looking for. Let's add the background in, and on adjustments like this, I'm sure it's possible, but it's maybe not. Divi is not the most intuitive builder. You kind of have to find all the right settings, but it's still, you're getting the idea across. Let's go and add our background image first. And here we'll drag this image over. And what's fun about using these transparent images with just some small little like animations or little background areas is it's a very small image. It's 1920 by 800 pixels, so it's a large size, but it's only 10 kilobytes. And that's because you're using flat design and a lot of transparency. It really doesn't slow down your speed that much. And then here, let's also get that background fill, and we'll take just a generic orange. Oof, that looks terrible, but that's not the exact orange we wanted, but that'll work for this build. Actually, it won't, because I can't stand looking at that one more time. So let me get the actual hex color that I want. And let's grab just this guy. Obviously, you'd want to set your color palette up in the beginning, and then you'd be good to go. But I'm going to skip through that step right here. So I don't want that. Oh, goodness. Grab our image, go back to color, and swap the color out for this color. That looks a little bit better. So we're starting to look how we want it to look. Let's make our text white. So we're just going to search for color. Probably the thing I love most about Divi in the builder is everything is really searchable. And you can just go through, type what you want. Like if I want to find the alignment or padding or spacing, I just start typing it, and there you go. So let's take a look real quick. Obviously, this is a thicker font. Let me use my What font, which is a nice Chrome extension where if you hover over some text, it'll give you the details. So Poppins 600, weight 600, size 48. So let's see if we can actually get to where we want it to be. So let's go to our text here, and let's take this text, our font, text font, we want Poppins. So we got Poppins, and then on weight, it doesn't tell you the actual weight size, but let's just go ahead and start looking for maybe like at least a bold. Well, that's for the small text. I want the heading. Let's do weight. Design my heading text. Heading font weight. Let's do this. Bold. Okay, looking a little bit better. And then we also wanted the font size to be about 48. There you go. So it's starting to look a little bit more like we wanted. I'll take it. One thing I do want to do though is for this column, I do want it to align in the middle of the column. Let me see if I can find that spot there. Every builder has this setting tucked away in a different spot. So let's see if I can maybe find it here. Sizing, equalize column heights. That's kind of what I want, but not really. What we might have to do in this situation is go to our spacing and just add some custom margin here. So for column 1, custom padding, we want to add some top padding. Let's just try that. Okay, so we're getting better where we want it to be. And now let's add that button. So we want to add a button here. It's going to be a white button with dark text rounded. So let's say learn more. And go into our design. And the button design, we'll use custom styles. And let's see here. So the text color, we want that dark text. And the background color, we want a light background, roughly there. And then button border width, I'm going to remove that border. We don't need that. That looks better. And here it looks like I'm using a custom arrow instead of being the default arrow. So let's do that. Let's say the button font, lighter font, and that'll work for now. That's closer to what we're going for this effect here. I actually said let's chat, but that'll work. So now we have a nice little call to action area. Might want to add one more spacing, one more paragraph here, just to give me some more room to breathe between the heading and the bottom. That looks better. Okay, so obviously this is actually built in Divi itself, so I should be able to get very close to that design using the same builder. So this has a slight advantage over some of the others, and the big thing here is that I want to get the general design, the general feel across on every builder. It's not going to be perfect because Divi does certain things, and Elementor has a different style as well. So giving myself a pass there. So let's move on to the next section. So what I love, and then we have a 2 rows of 3 columns each. So let's first do that little header. Just give me a text module. Let's make this an H2. What I love, and we want to center line this. All right, and we may choose as well to kind of take this H2 and make it a little bit bigger. That'll work. And then let's also give it a little more weight. All right, that'll work. And then let's add our 3 columns. And this is going to be a bunch of blurbs. So we'll do one blurb, we'll design it how we want it, and then we'll duplicate and move it around. So let's first adjust to the right icon. And these are image icons I just uploaded. So let's go find this one here. We're going to delete this image here and add a new one. And that's going to be our little pie graph. Looking good. So we'll upload that image. Boom. And what's the first subtitle? Conversion optimization. Come through here. Conversion optimization. And let's get our subtext. Okay, looking good so far. Let me get this out of the way. So now what we also needed to do is have this little read more area down here. And on the blurb itself, it doesn't bring you a button automatically. So we're going to go and add that button in. So, but let's also center line all this. Let's make this bold. And let's go ahead and alignment. Text orientation in the center. Good to go. So now we have our one blurb here designed relatively the way we want it. Let's add one button in, and then we can start duplicating all those guys over. So we'll come back through here and add one module underneath all this. And let's make one more button. And this one, even though it doesn't look like a button, it looks like it's just an arrow, but we're going to make it a button, and we'll simply kind of make the background transparent so it looks like just regular text. I think this says read more. And we're going to want to take the design of this, definitely do some custom styles. So the button text size, let's make it a little bit smaller. It's not that big. Normal text size. Text color, we have that an orange-ish color. The background color we want to go ahead and remove. So button background color, we'll make it white. We don't want a border width. So now it's looking like that text. And then we also definitely want to make sure we have that icon right there. And so now we look very much like the design we were going after. And let's just align this in the center. And let's see if we can do something to make this not so much margin between these two buttons. So what we're going to want to do here, is take some padding and take some padding away. So the top padding, we actually want to go, we can't go any more negative. Let's see if we can get some margin away there. Okay. So we'll take maybe negative 30 pixels of margin, and that'll kind of bring these closer together. Let's see how this looks. Okay, that looks good enough for me. So what we can do is take each one of these guys. I'm actually going to control and click. So now I'm selecting multiple, and I should be able to duplicate. You can't duplicate the groups, can you? I could duplicate the row. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate the blurbs and move it over, and duplicate the button and move it over. And we'll do this one more time to this row, and duplicate this guy and move it over. And now we're rocking and rolling. Again, obviously the colors are not a perfect match, but for the sake of speed and building, we don't really need to be that OCD about this design. Let's go into our image for the second row, and let's grab that little landing page icon, drag him in and upload the image. Okay, looking good. And then we can change our text around real quick. Great landing pages. Looks like it's going to keep my unbold weight, so let's make sure that bolds up. Looks good. And lastly, let's get that text. Move that text over as well. Looking good so far. One thing, I'm not adjusting all the button URLs, where that's directing to. Obviously, you can do that when you're building your real page. One thing I'm noticing here is when I pasted in that content, it seemed to adjust my margin, which I can't fully explain why it would do that. Let me go into here and say paste as plain text. There we go. Okay. It was adding an additional row as well as I was pasting. And finally, let's get the end of the top row. So this is going to be that email marketing icon. And here we are. So let's go into here. Take this last icon, adjust it, go into this icon, get rid of the one that's there, add a new one, put in the email, and upload that image. Okay, so our first row is coming along nicely. And then we'll adjust this, call it email marketing. And here I'm going to paste this plain text, which Divi kind of overrides, which I understand makes sense. And we'll bold that up. And then let's get our subtext here and paste that over. Again with the padding. This is a little interesting. Let me go into the actual module settings, and let's see what's going on here with our padding. It's not adding any additional any additional information here. I don't know why it would mess the padding up like that. Okay, so by adding that through, it did take away some spacing. So there's something between copying and pasting between different builders, which is causing that issue there. But we'll go ahead and give this a pass for now, and we'll duplicate this entire row, and we can do it again for the second half of our features. So here we'll go into this adjustment. Here we are here. So let's change that image out here from being that pie to now being the courses. Go here and take my course image, upload that. So we have our icon updated. Let's get our text. This is going to be super simple courses. And then down here, let's paste that information in. Okay. And you get the idea. We can adjust each one of these. I'll go ahead and skip the last two just because I don't want to make the video too long and you see exactly how it's working out. But so far we have almost a like for like build of this hero section. So let's move on to the next row and see what we have here. So here we have one more little headline and then a 3-column layout. So let's do that. We'll make a new section for this one. And let's first give it a full width here. And we'll make this more text. And let's say, let's just take this text so I don't make a mistake. Copy it over. We'll make this a heading 2. Paste it in. Looks right. Let's just make sure when it gets bigger. So here I've forced it to be a little bit smaller than the actual width of the area. So let's see how we can do that in Divi. We'll go here and say sizing. We don't want 100% width. Maybe let's say 75% width. So when we do that, it forces it to be a little bit smaller. And let's also make sure we align it in the center. So it's aligned in the center, but the sizing, there we go, module alignment, boom. So we had to take the width and the module alignment. So now we have a similar look here. Now let's get these 3 columns going here as well. So we'll make one more row, 3 columns, and let me just take the image in first. We'll grab our image, and that's kind of like a little circle graph with a line chart and all sorts of fun data. That's what I'm all about. Let's put that guy in. And I want to make sure that this is aligned center. So we'll do that. And then we want some text here, which will look like this. Take that little text, copy, and come over here and just paste it as plain text. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, now we see here, I have some alignment going on here. So this is right aligned, center aligned, and left aligned. So let's replicate that and adjust the font a little bit just to give it a little bit more weight. So the text, we want this to be right aligned. Go here to bold. And let's go back to our content and take the text here, select all and right align it, which is right there. And now we'll take this and duplicate and move this over to the right column. And we'll make a few small tweaks. We'll take this and left align it. And we'll go into the design here and well, actually we'll just make the text match. So let's go ahead and copy this text and move this over and we'll paste in this text right here. So now we have our right aligned, center aligned, and left aligned with the text matching correctly. The last thing we want to do, let's look at this full screen here, is you'll notice on the model we have kind of some spacing differences where there's some vertical padding that brings us down kind of to the center line there. So let's do that real quick and then we'll be done with this section. So here we're going to want to go to the module settings. There's a couple ways you could do this. You can add margin a couple different ways, but let's go ahead and let me make this float up a little bit so we can see it side by side. Normally I like to have things docked, but when I have this very small recording window, I'll let it float so we can see what's going on here. And here I'm just going to go to my little paintbrush. It takes me to that section of the design, and I want to find some padding. I want to add some top padding, which will kind of bring this down to roughly there. Just eyeball it, it'll be good enough. And now we have a very similar build to what we had on the initial model. Maybe some more spacing there, maybe slightly text size might be a little bit different, but that's obviously could be controlled by your theme, which we're not going to worry about too much here. Okay, let's move on to the next section. So we go down to the latest post, we have a blog roll. So let's add one more section. And again, we'll do a text just to call out this section here. Let's make this an H2. We'll call this latest posts. And let's, of course, make sure that we do some alignment. We're going to take this entire module alignment. Where is it? Oh, of course, you're hiding underneath here. Text orientation right here in the center. And then we'll do another module beneath it. Oh, this is one thing I don't like about Divi. Sometimes it can be very hard to hover on just the right thing. But we'll just add another row because I don't want to fight it. And we'll go to blog. We'll add a blog post section, which I want 6 posts. All categories are fine because there's really no content here yet. And we'll kind of skip over the actual styling of this because it's pretty self-explanatory, and I don't have blog posts here, but this gets a pass because it will look, once I have blog posts there, it'll look how we want it to. One thing we do want to do here is on the design, we want to make it a grid. And so now we have basically the same design that we would have here with additional styling options available to us. Let's move on to the next section. And as we come down here beneath our blog roll, we have one more orange section that has a cool background and a few questions here. So let's build that guy out. So here, this is going to be a couple of different rows involved. So let's first make this just a full width row. And let's add the text, which is going to be answers to your questions. So inside this text module, let's make this H2 again, paste the plain text, and of course, center that. So here we go. Let's go ahead and style the background of this section. And let's start out first with adding the background color. Do I still have this? No, I don't have that on my clipboard anymore. Let me grab something close to my hex, put our background in, and then we also have a background image, which has some icons and some other fun things with it. So let's add that in there as well. And here we go. Again, a large image, but only 8 kilobytes. So pretty good trade-off there. Okay, so we have our background styled. Let's go ahead and style all of our text here. I believe, no. In Thrive and in some builders, you can actually style all the text within the row, but in Divi, you do have to do that module by module. So we'll just search for color. And then on text color, let's go light. Boom. Good to go. So ready to move on to this 2-column section. So we'll do that by adding a row, a 2-column row. And what are these going to be? This is really just a text blurb, so we can do that. We'll add a text blurb, and let's have the questions be H3s and the answers be probably paragraphs. So we'll just put in the text here for this first question. And I'm using the keyboard shortcut, which I love. It's Alt-Shift-3 will make you H3. Alt-Shift-2 would make you an H2, etc., etc. And I'll just paste in the question. And then underneath it, it will automatically switch down to paragraph and the answer as well. Let's just paste that as plain text. So here you can see we're starting to look right, but we want to make sure our text color is, all of it is light. So now we're looking good here. And I could continue to write this all out in a single text module, but I think it's a better idea to duplicate the module. That'll kind of keep some padding and it's just a bit more clean to kind of see those questions all individually. It also allows you to move questions around if you want to in the future, which makes it easier for editing. So here, let's take the second question. Can I trust you? Paste that guy in and get the answer as well here. I'll probably do this in 2 clips since I've got a paragraph in there in the middle. And take the last little section here and paste that guy here as well. Remove that. And we're looking good. Okay, so we can go ahead and duplicate this guy out, move him over. And we got one more question here. Duplicate, move it over. And do the exact same thing for the right-hand column. And move this over here and put in the new text and adjust here. And put the new text down there. Okay, looking good so far. Looks like I added in some spacing randomly, which we don't want. There we go. And then the last module here, we'll do a quick where do I start? Paste that guy over. And then moving on down, we have the answer to the question, which is multiple columns. So we'll take that and simply select everything and paste as plain text. And let's see, that actually turned out really nice. Okay, so we have our questions and answers. We've got the full width background image, which looks kind of similar. This looks like it's actually set to a different setting. So let's take a look at the background and see if we can kind of replicate that background layout. So here, we can either do parallax effect, or we could do fit, or we could do actual size. So you can play whichever one you want that kind of gives you the effect you want. We'll stick with actual size because it kind of puts it off on the edge of the screen, which is kind of cool. And then let's finally put that button in here, which is a ask a question button. So we'll make one more row. This is a middle row. Put a button in, ask a question. We'll skip over adding the link, but we will customize the button real quick. And let's see here. First of all, let me just do an alignment. Want the button in the middle. And then we want some, let's go ahead and just use our paintbrush. Oh, I can't get the paintbrush. Let's go to color. So the text color was that orange color. So that's not the same orange at all. So let me go grab my hex one last time. I think I used this one. So we'll take that color and put it into my color dropper. There you go. So it disappears, which is okay. We're going to fix that in a second. Let's go to the button background color and make that a white color. So now we have the effect of kind of being transparent text, which is really just showing the background color. So that looks kind of cool. And let's see if we want to make any additional styles. I can make the text smaller, but you get the idea. That will pass for building that section out. And now we're down to the final section, which shows some social follow icons, a little opt-in offer, and an email opt-in form. So let's do that. So let's go here. That's going to be a regular section. Looks like I have 3 columns going on here. So we'll do 3 columns. On the one column, there's a little bit of text at the top, which is, that says follow income mesh. Oops, not my hex color. And let's make this probably an H4 or maybe an H3. You know, it's really, that's personal preference, how you want that to look. And then let's add our social icons, which look very nice, by the way. Divi does a good job with that. Let's add one more module right here. Social media follow. And you got Facebook, Twitter. Let's just change it from Facebook to, or from Twitter to YouTube. All right, so let's add the social icons here. So we'll add a new module. We'll do social. And we're going to want, instead of Facebook and Twitter, I have Facebook and YouTube on here. So let's just go in and select YouTube. And let's see how that looks. And that looks very similar. The order is a little different, so let's just adjust that to just to be exact. Okay, so we've got follow on social media. In the middle here, we have an image, which is just going to show a little opt-in freebie. So let's get rid of this and pull in the image that we actually want, which is this book. Okay, and let's upload that image and go. And let's see what else we have here. And then a little text blurb and a subscribe option. So let me add in, I won't set this all up, but you'll be able to see the email opt-in setup. And let's remove that background. No background needed. Oh, use background color, just turn that off. But now we need to make our text visible. So here we have, if we scroll down, we'll find text color. Want dark text. And let's see what other styles we have here. So we have a small border around the email form. So let's call this free course. Let's take the text here. And let's come into our content area. Okay, it's starting to look how we want it. But let's now adjust that border on our... See, I don't know exactly where they nest all the settings, but because I know I'm looking for a border, this is very easy to use. Put a 1 pixel border around there. Kind of remove that spacing. First name, last name, email. I think I just want email. So let's go ahead and adjust the fields, which I know I can just go to fields. And I can take off first name, take off last name, and boom, I'm down to the one field that I really want. And then on the subscribe, let's go ahead and style that button here. So we'll go to button. And we know the button text is subscribe, so that's good. We want the custom styles for the button. And let's make our button text color is going to be white. The button background color is going to be some form of orange. And that's looking pretty close to what we want. Okay, so we have, let's just review and let's publish this page and view it outside the Visual Builder. So we'll exit, save, and exit. So now this is our built page. We'll kind of look at them side by side. Here's the one we just built. Obviously, the colors aren't going to be perfect, but the idea of how this was built and kind of step by step, you can see how it worked very, very well. You'll notice here, it doesn't show the email forms here because I didn't actually hook it up to an email autoresponder, but that's okay. We'll give that a pass for now. And let's compare this to the model. Looks almost identical, which obviously it should because it's both built with Divi. You can see that section's looking good. Next section looking very similar. Blog roll, obviously we're giving the blog roll a pass on this one, but it would look exactly as intended. Answers to your questions. Some font size differences, but that's just because I hadn't customized the actual font customizer. And then the footer there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do some speed tests on this and see how Divi performs compared to the rest of our tests we've done. So the first thing we need to do is actually edit this page and publish the page so we can run a speed test. And we'll publish and publish. I should probably have given it a title, but that's okay. Let's view the actual page. So here we've got Divi 8-2, and let's head over to our speed tester. And I'm using GTmetrix for these speed tests. Pingdom, GTmetrix, they're both excellent testers. I think the important thing is just use the same one if you're actually trying to compare the performance of two different pages or two different designs. So here we go for speed test number 1. Okay, for the first speed test, we got 2.5 seconds. Let's go ahead and add that here to our tracker. 2.5 seconds. And there's a good chance that that first run is just filling up some cache somewhere. I don't have any caching plugins on the website, but I do have my host with the default settings, and I believe there is some Bluehost caching going on the server side. So let's see how test 2 runs. Okay, test 2 is 2.2 seconds. So far, not a great show for speed on Divi, but I think that was kind of expected. Divi is not known to be the fastest theme out there. All right, speed test number 3 comes in at 1.9 seconds. At least we got out of the 2-second range. Let's go to speed test number 4. Okay, speed test number 4, 1.7 seconds. So we're steadily getting faster, which is kind of interesting. And let's run speed test number 5. Oh, wow. Not a good way to go out on the last one. So speed test number 5 was 3.2 seconds. And so the overall average for Divi, the Divi theme and the Divi builder, just building one page was 2.3 seconds to load versus so far we've done Brizy, which was 1.6 seconds, and Gutenberg, which is 1.0 seconds. Let's do one last thing here, and let's take a look at the waterfall chart and see where the speed is coming from. Okay, so I can see why the last test was bad. It just took longer to ping the server. That's not exactly Divi's fault. That's just your host. But the rest of it, you can see that it wasn't the fastest running page that I've ever made. Interesting that the favicon was kind of lagged out here for a little while. So you could look in here and find ways of optimizing, but from a brand new build, a brand new website with only one page being designed on it, not very pleased with the speed test scores there. As far as the build speed, I like building with Divi. I like the fact you have that searchable settings interface, but Gutenberg is looking like it's picking up in that regard as well, where you can do that little backslash and find whatever you're looking for. So I think from a build speed perspective, I'll give it about the same as Gutenberg. I'll give it probably a 7. The build ease, Divi is nice. The little floating settings, you can change that if you want to have maybe a clickable interface instead of always getting bombarded with green and blue and all that. One thing I don't like about Divi is because it's that front-end editor, you do have to get out of the WordPress experience. I know their new version of Divi Builder is working on the classic editor where you actually have kind of like a visual editing experience inside the back end of WordPress. But I'm not a big fan of how they've implemented that because at least thus far, you actually need to have the classic editor installed, not the Gutenberg editor. And I just don't think that forcing people to stay kind of behind the times is a good decision by Divi. I think that Gutenberg is here to stay, and it's important for us to embrace it and learn it. So I'm not going to consider that editing experience just yet because I don't think forcing people into the classic editor is the right move right now. So on build ease, I'll probably give it about a 7 as well. It's very good. End result page speed. 2.3 seconds on a fresh install I don't think is very acceptable. Again, that was the average, and there might be some server lag going on here, but it was definitely the slowest by a considerable margin. It was twice as slow, more than twice as slow as Gutenberg was. So I don't think that's really what you want. So I'll give that probably a 4. I mean, if I'm giving a 6 to a 1.6 page speed, I think 4 is a reasonable score there. And then to get our average here, a 6.0 average here for Divi is just how the numbers are playing out here. So that is my walkthrough of the Divi page building experience versus the Brizy and the Gutenberg page building experience. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? One thing I love about Divi, it's a lifetime access to be able to work on client sites, and it's a fun building experience. You've got a lot of really interesting features like extending styles, copy styles, doing things that we really didn't explore too much in this video, but it does help that editing experience. It makes you kind of feel very fancy when you're building things. Is it worth the additional page speed and kind of the bloat that comes along with Divi? You guys let me know. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and keep tuned because I'm going to continue to test out Thrive Architect and Elementor and any other page builder I can get my hand on, building this model and running the scientific tests to see which is the right page building experience for you. I'm John from Encomesh.com. Until next time, take care.